Hey, actually, we have started a new podcast and we want to introduce ourselves and the podcast. It's called My Shoes Let's Walk, and here with Sandy and right now with Deb. You want Debbie or Deb?
Deb works.
Deb.
Yeah,
This
very
is
easy
Deb.
going.
Yeah.
Debbie, it's all good.
There you go. And the reason we're doing this is for all of you. Okay? There are so many things in life that we've been through, and I know a lot of you out there have been through, and we just want to help you get through some situations in your life, possibly, or let you know that you're not by yourself. You are not alone. I have so many adversities and so many stories in my life. Not one person should even have a portion of what I have.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah. Just a little bit too. Maybe that big.
Yes, yes. But we're here to share our stories, be upfront, be personal, and hope that you share yours with us. We actually have myshoesletswalk.com, myshoesletswalk@gmail.com. We will have the YouTube page, which will be promoting the podcasts, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And hopefully have some callers, or if you email us or you send us your information, you have questions or you want to know more about a subject we talked about, please feel free to do so because we're here for you.
Yes,
This is all about you. We've already been through this. We've already been out there. Yeah.
And we support each other. So
Absolutely.
now we're going to support everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, are there any topics that you can think of that, just say a word and let's go with it.
Sure. I don't know. How about where it all started?
Oh
and
my.
how things happened. Do you want to go first?
Well, how about I'll give a little bit of the first thing that ever happened to me that was traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably in 5th grade.
Okay.
And I was coming home from school. It was in Illinois. Walking home, and there was a boys' home not far from us.
Mm-hmm.
And this young man that went there had jumped out of the bushes and attacked me and pulled me into the bushes. And a farmer actually came out of the house with a shovel and ran him off. But he had half of my clothes ripped off already,
Oh, my
and I
goodness.
was
My goodness.
very young. That was probably the first traumatic situation I can remember. How about you?
For me, I was a little girl, and I was about 5, and my dad decided to look at me as an object of affection.
Oh,
Yeah, and that was pretty traumatic throughout my life. The good thing about it is, though, things progressed till I was a young teen when I realized that wasn't a normal thing, and I was able to say that and actually defend myself verbally. I didn't have to physically defend, but also let him know I wasn't afraid to tell somebody,
right.
which made it stop. But then it affected my life with my dad, all of my life, up until the point when he had a heart attack and we found out he had cancer. And I never gave him an opportunity to apologize, and I never took the opportunity to forgive, which is very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized when I went to a retreat weekend, and I never knew this either, I didn't even know this was bothering me so bad until this retreat weekend, that I didn't condone the act by forgiving him. And it just made me not have to be a victim. And when you become a victim, you stay victimized, and then you get controlled by the situation.
Right.
And I refused to be controlled by that situation. So when my dad had his heart attack, and then we found out he had a tumor, everybody always looked at me, being the nurse in the family. He felt he was dying, which at that time he was. He wanted to ask for forgiveness. And that's when we started the whole conversation, and I realized and heard the counselor's words from my retreat weekend that it's okay for me to forgive him.
Yes.
And I let him know I did forgive him, and I forgave him quite a while prior. However, I could forgive him, and then he explained things that had happened to him. And then I realized I broke the chain by making it stop. So that's
Awesome.
another important thing with abuse. You have to break the links.
Awesome.
And
Takes a strong person to do that. You're very strong
yeah,
to have done that.
you know, you don't always feel it at the time, but then looking back, definitely.
So when you were 5 and you were younger, you really didn't realize that it was wrong.
No. I
You
had
made
a
it,
friend that had a dad that did the same thing.
so you thought it
So
was normal.
I thought, oh, that's what daddies do with their little girls.
Oh,
And I
my.
had no idea.
Oh my.
had no
What was the
idea.
first time you realized that it was wrong? What triggered that? What was?
I think as I was getting older, I think I was probably like 11 or so when I realized and started asking other girls, you know, do your daddy put you to bed? And does your daddy do this? And I got a lot of blank faces out of the whole deal. And then I started realizing that it's not right. And then I also realized, because I was pretty tall by the time I was 11, that I could actually, you know, fight back if I had to.
Right.
And I could be very assertive when I wanted to be. Gotta love that Leo in me.
Yeah.
So I basically had a conversation when he came up and asked me to, you know, do the thing he was thinking of doing, and I came out and told him, no, it's wrong. That I was not going to partake, that I knew that that was not what dads did with little girls, and that I was going to talk to somebody. I was going to talk to my teacher or anybody that would listen if he didn't stop. And he actually did. He didn't give me a hard time. I was surprised. He was just afraid I'd tell anybody, so I just told him, as long as you leave me alone, then, you know, it's going to be our secret. But I realized keeping it secret, too, really affected me all of my life, you know, most of my adult life. Jamie didn't realize, my husband didn't realize why I didn't have a close relationship with my father. And I explained to him why, but it was hard to grasp until you finally meet that person. And then when Jamie got to know my dad wasn't afraid to say, because at that point he now had purged what he had done.
Yeah.
And knew that it was terribly wrong.
And he probably couldn't have done that unless you did what you did.
I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have to stand up. And I'm so thankful nowadays that they have all these programs and see something, say something. If you know one of your friends are going through something you know that's not quite right, or just see something, say something is so big.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nobody has the right to touch you if you do not want to be touched. And especially a family member, a parent, nobody should be touching a little girl like that, a child at all.
Well, anybody that
Anybody,
says no.
that's right. The word no
Say
means no.
Yeah,
exactly.
It can go to any age.
It can, exactly. But a child's defenseless.
Yes.
That's, I think, where I was going with that.
Yes, you're right. You're
But
absolutely right.
no, I think it was good because
Yeah.
I got 10 good years with my dad, and a lot of people didn't understand that knew.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because it was between me, God, and my father, and I forgave him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did.
That right there, forgiveness is, we had talked before.
Yes.
Forgiveness is absolutely huge.
Yes.
When you hold something in against someone else and they're the ones that are wrong, you're only hurting yourself. They don't even know
Right.
that this is happening. They don't care. They don't know. They don't react to it. It's not hurting them. You are only hurting yourself. The power of forgiveness is just unbelievable.
Exactly.
It frees you,
It does.
and it gives actually it puts them back out into the world to get whatever's supposed to come, because if you're holding that grudge against them, you're
Yes.
not freeing them to
Yes.
deserve or get what they deserve sometimes.
Right.
Not saying that.
Yes. And, you know, and you know, we all have our thoughts on how that goes sometimes, but you know, and also, you know, I had a person in my life that I shared my story with, and that person tried to seek forgiveness from their father.
Right.
And unfortunately, that father was very narcissistic, so didn't reciprocate, but I had to let her know it's not about him accepting the forgiveness. It's about you giving it
Right.
and moving on.
It's what's in your heart. The forgiveness in
Yes.
yourself is what makes you move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she was stagnant, and she kind of still is, because she's looking that person, accepted that forgiveness and that they were going to apologize. And not everybody does that, but you're still free by forgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And you can't control what they're going to say,
No,
do, who
no.
they are. That's what I'm saying. That's up to them to
Right.
get what they deserve.
Yes,
Sorry.
exactly.
Sometimes
okay.
good, but no. And your dad, you took care of him.
Yeah, I did for
after-
10 years in our home.
Yeah.
Yep. Even built a room for him that's now
Yeah.
part of our bar.
So things
Yeah.
can work out. Yeah.
And it is funny that way, because after I forgave him, he apologized profusely, right up even to the point just before he passed away. So I didn't realize until toward the time when my dad actually was getting ready to leave the world that he didn't believe, even though I had forgiven him and he had apologized and he had asked God for forgiveness, he just felt like he wasn't forgiven. And that was actually holding him back from leaving. But once we discussed it, and he understood that as long as, I forgave him, he apologized, and he said he repented to God, he was good to go. And within a couple days, he left.
Wow.
It's time for him to go. And he was
Wow.
ready.
And that's what I think, the power of forgiveness on both sides.
Yes,
Not
definitely.
just the victim forgiving, but the person
Definitely.
that has done the evils or the
Perpetrator.
perpetrator, whatever you want to call
exactly.
it. Yeah, but the power of forgiveness is huge on both sides. And I
It
think
is.
we'll get in more to that, because there's a lot of stories I think we have more
Yes.
to come about forgiveness and different people and things in our lives. And I know that when I was run over by my husband, which we'll get into more later,
Yes.
people didn't understand why I forgave him.
Exactly.
And it was freeing, absolutely, like you said.
Mhm.
And it wasn't a burden to me. And I mean, there's a lot of stories with that to go
Yes.
further. So we have a lot more
Nice.
to share.
Yes, we do. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yes.
I think right now, we're on a track of forgiveness and the
Yes.
power of forgiveness. And I know it's not easy for anybody to forgive
No.
and or be forgiven. I mean, sometimes it's harder to be forgiven
Yes.
for things that you've done, and just to take that. Somebody had said to me years ago that if you don't believe in forgiveness, then you just might as well slap everybody across the face, because
Mhm.
then you don't believe in forgiveness.
Right,
And,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, it's real, and
Yeah.
it's true.
And we can't be forgiven if we don't forgive.
That's it.
So it's a big deal that and like I said, you're no longer victimized by whatever happened
Right,
when
right,
you forgive.
right.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
not ever condoning an act, but you're still forgiving so you can move on.
Yeah.
No longer be a victim.
Yeah. So I think we're on a good roll, and I
Yeah.
think follow us on this podcast, My Shoes, Let's Walk. And we're here, Deb
Yes.
and Sandy, and we'll have more people, and we'd love for you to email us some of your stories we can share, or some
Absolutely.
things that you've said or
Yes.
been through yourselves
Absolutely.
at myshoesletswalk@gmail.com.
Yes.
At
All
gmail.com.
Gee.
Or
Gmail.
or myshoesletswalk.com is the website. So we'll be putting these up there, and we'll also put them on YouTube and Facebook.
Yes.
And stay with us, because you don't want to miss them and have to try to catch up later, because we have a lot to share.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get in at ground level and everybody will know the path.
Yeah, and then we'll
Yeah.
have books out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so not just My Shoes, Let's Walk, but your shoes are with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Yeah.